think we have a number of people online. We've got the gentleman from the Fire and Rescue Service, we've got Leslie Ann, and I think Anne, our clerk, is online. Anne, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. Thanks.
That's fine, thank you. And thank you for attending, even though you have the COVID. I hope you're feeling better soon. Okay, members, do we have any apologies? Anne?
I haven't received any.
No, that's fine. Okay, I think we're all here anyway, as one form or another, either hybrid or in person, so that's grand. Members, any declarations of interest? No? Okay, good. That's fine. Moving on. Okay, we've got Mark Levy from the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service. He's going to give us the quarterly report. Welcome, Mark. It's nice to have you with us.
Councillors.
Pardon?
Sorry, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Well, we're getting a bit of an echo, but we're hearing you. Right, anyway, so Mark's going to give us the local performance report, and which you all have a copy of, I hope, and have a chance to review it. So, Mark, it's over to you.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, so the second quadrant. Sound quality. Apologies.
Do you have a microphone on? No. Leslie Ann, do you have your microphone on?
Nope, I don't.
Okay. Anybody else got a microphone on? Anyway, anybody who's online, can you please go on to mute? And apart from Mark, obviously. So try again, Mark.
Thank you. So the second quarter report was sent out. Looks very good in respect of stats for the area. Looking at the figures with 2 accidental dwelling fires, 0 fatalities, which is good. That's a continuing trend. 0 accidental fire casualties. 1 deliberate fire. Slightly up on the.
Can I stop you, Mark? I'm sorry. The echo is so bad that we're not understanding what you're saying. So it's a real problem for us.
I'll switch off and try and come back in again and see if that helps.
Okay, try that.
Just come in on Teams separately.
You're on Teams, but is your microphone on?
I've got a microphone.
If you're on Teams, it's on your. You've gone to mute. To put your laptop into mute as opposed to Teams, Jim.
I'm not on Teams at all.
You're not on Teams?
I think it'll be fine.
Should be okay. Right. Mark, give it another go.
Okay, Chair, how's that for sound?
Perfect. That's better. Thank you.
Good. As I was saying, just going over the statistics for the report. Overall, yeah, we're performing very well over the area. Our community action teams obviously doing a lot of good work, working with local communities, etc., to keep the numbers down and sort of inform and educate local communities, etc. Only 1 deliberate fire, which is again very good statistically wise. RTCs or road traffic collisions, 4. Which for the time of year, road conditions, etc., I think is good. You know, we would like it to be 0, but obviously keeping the figures low and keeping the injury level down for them and be able to respond to them locally is always good. And our unwanted fire alarm signals are down to 8 now. I'm pretty sure the LSO put out some information regarding that we were no longer responding to non-sleeping accommodation fire alarms. So they premises will not get a response for Scottish Fire and Rescue Service anymore, only sleeping accommodation. and high risk premises will get a turnout for that. So ultimately, the numbers are going to keep dropping round about the local areas, and that's maybe something that people within your constituencies will come and ask you why we're not responding to those. But that's a national policy that's been brought out. So overall, in regards to the report, I think performance-wise for the second quarter, the numbers are good. And from my point of view, obviously, I only cover certain stations within the district. So staffing-wise, we seem to be okay. The stations that are still causing us problems, ultimately, we're working with local communities to try and get additional staff in there, and some areas are proving harder than others. We are looking at solutions for that. I know going up the East Coast, there's been several stations that ultimately we're struggling to staff. We're on-call support watch commanders. We're trying to utilise them to get the numbers up, and we're looking at getting some funding to be able to give on-call firefighters overtime for other stations to be able to get them in there. So overall, I think as an area we're performing okay. The areas that we need to work on are staffing within certain stations, and they're positively being targeted. And ultimately, when we have stations that are off, we're looking at that daily to try and ensure that we can get staff into those stations to make sure they're available for the local communities. So happy to take any questions or any queries on the report, Chair, if anybody has any.
Thank you, Mark. Just a couple of things from myself, first of all, and then I'll open up to the other members. The deliberate fire that you're reporting there, what form did that take? Was that a building? Was it a hill, or was it bushfire? What kind of event was that?
Now, I don't have any information on that one, Chair. That was out with my area, but what I will do is I will get some information just now and I'll put it on the chat. So as soon as I come off the call, I'll do a wee bit of digging. I'll speak to the station commanders that basically cover that area, and I'll get that back to you within the next 20 minutes or so, if that's okay.
That'll be fine, thank you. And the other issue I have, which I think other members might have an issue with as well, is the availability, particularly in Lochinver, Scourie and the Tongue area. That seems to be an awful big area which we're struggling to fill. I see Durness at 87%, which is quite good, and kind of Burley 66%, so that's not too bad. But the three I mentioned, Lochinver, Scourie and Tongue, seems to be a real struggle. And I know staffing is an issue, and you've only got, in terms of staff, you've only got 2 in Lochinver, 2 in Scourie, but even with 4 in Tongue, you had zero availability. So can you give us an update on progress on resolving those issues, please?
I know Station Commander Farrell's been really active in that area, and we'll look at a sort of dual response, creating a virtual station so we could respond between different areas. Now, that overall it has worked quite well. I think it was Betty Hill and Tongue they were initially doing it with, and that seemed to work. They were looking at trying to roll that out further. Ultimately, when we're looking at Tongue with 4 members of staff on, to a certain degree, it'll be a skill mix. We need obviously a qualified appliance driver, and we need to have qualified OICs. So ultimately, if we've got 4 individuals available, it depends on skills as well. Ultimately, for breathing apparatus wearers, probationary firefighters or anybody that's under 3 years has to have a qualified firefighter with them to create that safety element within the crew. So when we're looking at even having 4 there, ultimately it's a skill mix, and it happens quite a lot across the area that we may well have individuals available with the appropriate numbers, but unfortunately not with the appropriate skills to safely put the appliances out the door. So in regards to Lochinver and Scourie, I know that they've positively been looking for individuals to try and recruit. It's just really hard, we continually do that through social media, etc. Leaflet drops, community events. We've publicised it through our on-call support watch commanders, but ultimately, we keep sort of targeting to try and get individuals in, but the time it takes from an individual applying and through that process to actually going on the run or being able to safely go on appliance can take anything up to 12 months. That's something we'll be looking at as well to try and improve that number, to try and bring that figure down a wee bit, to try and encourage more individuals into the area. But ultimately, yes, we've been very positive and very proactive in utilising the on-call support watch commanders to try and go in there with the appropriate skills. Most of our on-call support are drivers, and they have a ticket to ride, as they call it, which is the qualification to be able to take an appliance out the door. So I know the boss, the LSO, has been very active in that area, and he's been encouraging the sort of Group Commander Thrower, who's the Group Commander for Highland North, to continue to sort of target these areas and see if we can improve upon it. But ultimately, you're right, Chair, you know, the figures there aren't good, but we can just keep being proactive within that area to try and make it better.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Hutchinson.
On the situation at Lochinver, I know that there were 2 young females on that team, and according to the table here, there's only 2 males left. I just wonder what's the exit process? Is there any feedback as to why we lost the 2 young women that had been on it for a number of years?
I've got no information on the individuals that left Lochinver, but again, Councillor, what I'll do is I'll take a wee note here. I'll get to the appropriate station commander that covers that. I think it's Ben's Liversedge, Station Commander Ben Liversedge, that covers that. I'll inquire with Ben and I'll get back to you and I'll let you know what the situation is with that.
It would be good to get some direct feedback, because the last time we were on this meeting, I did ask for some information, but I mean, I'm not all that familiar with the procedures, but just if I could do anything on the ground, because I live in Lochinver, it would be great to have some feedback around that. Thank you.
Councillor Morrison.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mark, for the report. Just a few things that I have here, and a lot of it's to do with recruitment as well. I think if we look back over the last 10 years, we have to be asking ourselves, why are we losing personnel from stations? It's not through natural retirement. We are losing them because things are just not going the way they should be according to plan. And I think that's something that, you know, if we'd kept our figures up over the last 10 years, we wouldn't be in this situation just now where you have half of the West Coast that have no appliances at all leaving stations. And it's all very well having a joint mobilisation package in place, but it's the geography and the coverage, the area, the miles they have to cover to get to that area that's the problem. If Darnis and Kinnaberry went together to go to Scourie or Assynt, you know, you're talking maybe an hour and a half to get to Drumbeg from Darnis. So it's all about time, and as we know, time is of the essence. So it's something that we need to be looking at, and we need to stop losing personnel out of the brigade. That's been a big thing for the last, as I say, probably 10 years. I know that your district manager in Thurso is due to leave shortly. What's the plans in place to replace him, and what's the timescale on that as well? I take it you'll have somebody temporary in there maybe. And the other thing is that we have a water issue in Darnis, and that will be one of my next follow-up questions, is whoever comes into the Caithness area, if we could maybe get in touch with them to do with the issue of lack of water in certain hydrants in Darnis, or maybe you can take that online, you know, yourself after the meeting or whatever. But just a few issues there, but thanks for the report anyway.
Yeah. In respect to Station Commander Farrell leaving, I don't think there is a direct replacement. Just to make you aware that I actually retire on the 30th of November as well, and there is no direct replacement for myself at this point either. What we are doing is we're running a local station commanders process for Highland North. We have several station commanders that are temporary station commanders now that haven't went through a full recruitment process. So what we're looking today, or I know what the boss is looking today, is to run a process probably, I think, at the end of November, to interview any prospective station commanders for the area, substantiate the ones that are in there, and ultimately fill the positions that are going to be vacant. So the Dornoch, you know, moving up sort of Helmsdale, Galswade, etc., will be vacant when I leave on the 30th of November. And as you say, Station Commander Farrell is in the process of moving as well. So there is a process in place. I believe it's at the end of November that the interview or the application process will close. I don't think they've got any plans, and again, that's a higher managerial level than mine. I don't think there is any immediate plans to fill the vacancies with a temporary position just now, simply because of the timescales for the recruitment process for the new station commanders. So it would infringe on it slightly. They will be supported by their on-call support watch commanders, I believe. In the area, certainly Watch Commander Simpson, Watch Commander Mackay that assist me are great at that, but ultimately it isn't a station commander that's going to be there, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, I can certainly put your concerns to Group Commander Thrower, who is my boss, and he covers the whole of Highland North. In regards to that, as for water in the Durness area, Councillor, I was unaware that there was any issues in regards to that. Again, Station Commander Farrell, I think, probably covers up there, so I can certainly put that to him and see if we can get an answer in regards to that. And I know for the time that I covered Durness, I was never made aware that there was sort of low water pressure, etc. up there. But yeah, I mean, certainly something we can speak to Scottish Water about if there is any concerns in regards to that. I don't know if there's been any impact on any operational incidents due to it. But again, I don't, I very rarely respond that far up. So no, in regards to water and in regards to station coverage, I will get back to you. And in regards to the staffing issues that have been highlighted, I will have a wee look and see if we can get any answers in regards to that as well. I hope that answers some of your questions. It's maybe not the best answer in the world in regards to station commander coverage, but unfortunately that is the situation, and it's no something it's dealt with at a far higher managerial level than I'm involved in. So I don't know the reason why they're leaving the positions vacant just now, but I highly suspect it's going to be because of the process and no to sort of impinge on that.
Yeah, no, thank you for being honest, the fact that it's happening. And it's just to follow on from the lack of water in the Durness area. There was an incident in August, I think it was, that when the appliance arrived, there was no water at the hydrant. And so it's obviously an issue that has to come from Scottish Water or be dealt with Scottish Water as well. So it's just something that we need to get going and get going on fast if that's possible. But thank you anyway.
No, not at all, not at all. And like I said, I'll have a look at the points that have been brought up and hopefully we'll give you some feedback on that before I go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, just a couple of points. Budget pressures everywhere. Any immediate deterioration in service we can expect as a result of the present round of cuts or reduced budgets. And secondly, the Fire and Rescue Service are a key component of the Sutherland Community Partnership, but we haven't had representation for a number of meetings now, so it'd be great to have a nominated officer attending our meetings in future, please. Thank you.
Yeah, well, in regards to your budgets, yeah, we've got a flat rate budget for the next 4 years. Unfortunately, there is going to be cuts. When it comes to cuts in the sort of Highland area, ultimately, again, it would be the LSO that makes the decisions and, looking at what funding he has. I know certainly, I mean, I'm in St Andrews today, and the Central Belt's been hammered with cuts. We lost 10 pumps last year. We're looking at potentially 18 pumps next year. So, yeah, funding is a major issue. Affecting our stations in the Highlands, probably not so much. I mean, the cost of running a Highland station, I think it's about 100 to 150,000 a year. I believe the figure was kicking about when I was having this conversation a couple of weeks ago with somebody in regards to 1.5 million to 2 million to run a whole-time station. So budget-wise, I don't know what the next round of cuts is going to be, if I'm being honest with you. Certainly, at the sort of more strategic level, Michael Humphreys, the local senior officer, would certainly be able to guide you probably on, what he expects the area, if any, cuts to be. In regards to the committee attendance, that was my fault. I'll hold my hands up there. I initially wasn't aware of it, and then when I did become aware of it between holidays, etc. But yes, that's been addressed by the group commander. I got my knuckles wrapped for it, and the next station commander that will be taking over will be given all the relevant dates and committees that they're meant to attend. So again, I'll hold my hands up there. That was my fault, but it has been addressed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark, for that. Noticing in the figures that Bonabridge does have like 5 of a staff, but the availability seems to be quite low. Is this simply because the people are tied up with their day-to-day businesses and not available to turn out when necessary?
So, Bonabridge, we transferred one member of staff from Dornoch to Bonabridge. The individual was sort of going between the two stations, and personal circumstances changed, and that individual is now on the staffing numbers for Bonabridge. The officer in charge of Bonabridge is a dual contract, so basically they are a whole-time watch commander and they are an on-call firefighter. So during the day, I know that individual's recently just been promoted to substantive watch commander, and they are now doing their fire safety enforcement training, which is 2 months in Glasgow. So for respect to that, the numbers there, I would suspect the whole time watch commander is probably affecting those numbers quite considerably. They are the OIC and obviously the fourth member of the staff, and the one other individual still has employment, I believe, in Dornoch. So yes, we have 4 there. It's better than it has been. You know, we're getting the numbers up. I believe the Bonner Bridge figures were at 0 availability for quite a few months in the last couple of quarters. To have the 4 individuals there now and to even have that 10.08% availability is a marked improvement in where we were. But obviously we will continue to try and recruit for the area. Hopefully once the watch commander has finished his fire safety modules, he'll be able to work out the station at times when he's doing his administration, and probably that will help with availability as well. But yeah, you know, 10% isn't a great number, but it's better than it was, and we're working to try and improve it, Councillor.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you, Mark. I'm very concerned that there's going to be no replacement for yourself and the other watch commander, station commander. It really is a concern. I would like you to register that with your superior officers, please, because we already are, as you can see from the figures, suffering in certain areas in terms of availability. So to lose that level of senior management is a grave concern to myself. So please take that back to your senior officers.
Well, I had an email this morning. I'm just having a wee very quick look here to see in regards to it. I'll just see if I can find it for the group commander, and he did mention in regards to when he would be trying to fill the post if possible. I don't know if it's here. Okay, listen, I've not got it. Yeah, I mean, group commander throws away it, you know, and again, you know, at senior manager level, the group commanders and area commander have meetings on a regular basis to look at it. But yeah, I would like to be able to do a handover to the next station commander as well. I've said that to the group commander that I don't like leaving the area. I know when I took over, there was I think it was an 8 or 9 months gap in respect to sort of support for the area, support for the station, staffing, etc., and sort of looking at the issues. And I wouldn't want that to happen again, because I think station-wise, we're in a good place just now. We're recruiting, we're retaining, we're supporting the stations the way we should be, and I think it needs a station commander for that. So yeah, Chair, totally agree with you. I don't like the situation myself, but ultimately it's no me that makes the decisions. It goes higher, but I will certainly make Group Commander Thrower and LSO aware that you know, you've raised a concern about it, and potentially it may help to get an individual in there. But problem with station commanders is that they need specific qualifications, and to get the qualifications takes time. You need to pass a certain amount of assessments, etc., which are down in Glasgow. Not everybody passes them first time. It takes a wee while to get a station commander prepped and ready to be able to take on the role, because ultimately it's not just the admin side, it's the operational support as well that they provide. So yeah, not the best, Chair, but ultimately I'll raise your concerns with the boss.
I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you very much for that. One quick question. Just been 2 or 3 years ago, there was discussion about retained firefighters assisting with the Scottish Ambulance Service in the event of elderly folk, for example, having slips or falls, and when an ambulance isn't able to attend, then possibly fire service personnel would do that. Is that policy still ongoing, or has it been shelved?
Ultimately, I get a phone call in my role asking for support for local communities in regards to slips, trips, falls, individuals that maybe need medical assistance when there's no ambulance available. When they come through to me, certainly I have got no qualms at all about mobilising an appliance or a crew to assist. Medically wise, the crews are trained, as you're aware. We have defibrillators on the appliances, etc. Nationally, it's a grey area in regards to crossing over between responding to emergency fire calls or road traffic collisions, etc., and then taking over the role of the ambulance service. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, we will still respond if there is no ambulance available and we can provide support. we will certainly, normally it goes through myself or one of the group commanders to give the green light for that, but I don't know at any instance where I've had a phone call or any of my colleagues have a phone call to support individuals within the community that we've not supported and we've not allowed an appliance to attend.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for that, Mark. Really appreciate it. Now, Councillor Niven, I can't actually see you on screen, so I don't know if you have your hand up, or do you have any questions for Mark?
No, sorry, I don't have any questions. My hand's not up, is it?
No, I just couldn't see it, so I didn't
Sorry,
know.
my camera doesn't work. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Mark,
you.
for the presentation. That's really helpful.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And I'd also like to thank you for your service, and I wish you a very long and a very happy retirement.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's well deserved. So all the very best for the future.
No, and thank you very much for your time. I'll try and get back to you on the points. I've took notes here of all the points that you've raised. I will try and get answers to you. If there's any change in circumstances in regards to the station commander for the area, I will get back to you. I know there is one individual's name been put up, Station Commander David Bell, who is local to the area. So I believe he was a resident of Dornoch for many years. So I think that would be good for the area as well. It would probably get a bit of consistency if we had an individual up there that was actually from the area rather than somebody like myself and several other station commanders that obviously, I mean, I live in St Andrews and travel up and down when I'm required to. So I think local support and somebody that actually lives in the area would be a good thing. Hopefully Station Commander Bell will be appointed sooner rather than later. But yeah, not a problem at all. Thanks for your time. Thanks very much for your questions, and I will get back to you with the points raised, Chair.
Thank you, Mark. Members, we have been asked to comment on and scrutinise the attached Sutherland performance report. Are we happy that we've done that? Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Okay, Mark, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay and listen in if you want to, but I'm sure you've got other things to do. So I'll let you go. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks very much. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mark. Enjoy your retirement.
Okay, members, moving on to agenda item 4. It is the education HMI update on Sutherland Tongue Primary and Nursery class. And we've got Annika Jansen with us to present this report. Annika, over to you.
Good morning, members. Yeah, I'm coming along with some good news again over the North schools, and it's Tang Primary this time with their ELC class. The inspection actually took place in December 22, so it's a while ago. However, the report wasn't published till June 23, and we haven't had a chance to bring it earlier. And I thought it was such a good success story for Tang and the FAR campus. I wanted to share it with you. You can see from the report that they were graded goods across all areas. It was a full inspection, which means they're looking at leadership, they're looking at health and well-being, they're looking at achievement and attainment, and the leadership of the school. And as I said, everything came out good. The positives, they were especially noted. I have to say was the commitment of the head teacher and the creativity of the head teacher and also her deputies in terms of how they're leading the school and managing the schools. But also I have to note, they noted across the school and nursery, they had very friendly, polite and welcoming children, young people who are very proud of what they're doing in the local environment and the community, very motivated, engaged in their learning. As I said, resilience of the head teacher, deputy head teacher, I can't praise that enough. In FAR campus, as you know, pretty rural, they go out over and beyond to do the most for the families in creative ways. In the nursery, they were talking about the rich outdoor environment, and if you have been to Tang Primary School, you know how lovely the outdoor environment is, but also as part of the local community as well, how to bring in people to enhance the quality of the experience of the children. Very much also about the local area and environmental issues that they're dealing with, and how the children are involved in that too, and how everyone is proud of the valuable contributions they make to the wider community, helping to improve the village environment and be part of that. So I would say that's all very good news for the school and the community. There were some areas also identified. They always have, you always get that from HMI, areas to improve. And they were talking about plans to develop the curriculum across the nursery and the school to ensure clear progression in children's learning, and also to continue to develop approaches used to show how much and how well the children progress over time throughout the schooling there. Yeah, so congratulations to Tongue Primary, and congratulations to the campus as well, because obviously it's very much of a campus and an effort, and the deputy head teacher working very much across different schools that are attached to the campus. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Annika. And yes, I would echo your congratulations to Tongue as well. It's a really good report. Thank you for delivering that to us today. It's great to see a school in a small remote rural area getting such a good report. It's really excellent. Members, do you have any questions for Annika? No?
Just a quick one. Annika, just a PhD campus. Could the HMI specific on the aspect?
I apologise, I didn't hear anything of that. I think the microphone was moved about. I do apologise.
That was my fault. I should apologise, Annika. Sorry. No, it's just that it's part of a 3 to 18 campus. Did the HMI make any specific comment about the 3 to 18 aspect? I didn't see very much mentioned in the report.
No, I didn't see it either. But however, the leadership have been praised, and obviously Catherine, who's the head teacher there, she has got very good grasp of all her schools and the journey of the children. So that was mentioned when they were there. But as I said, it's a shame it wasn't mentioned in the report. However, I can get you more details and bring that to your ward business meeting if you wish. I can even bring Catherine if you wish to the next ward business meeting. I don't know, maybe there's something Phil and I can talk about later on as well.
Not a problem. I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, members, we have been asked to note the key strengths and next steps for Tongue Primary School and nursery class as reported by the Education Scotland on 6th of June 2023. How we've done that? Okay, thank you. Well, thank you, Annika, for your time today. Much appreciated. And please pass on our congratulations to Tongue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now. Okay, members, moving on. Item 5 is the review of winter route priorities in the Lochimber area. We've got Joanne Sutherland with us today to go over that for us. Yeah, okay. But you can hear us, we can.
Just take it down, throwing it at you. There. Yeah. Morning. Morning, everyone. Sorry. So I'm back with winter, and I've brought a paper as a result of the amendment proposed at the last meeting we had in August, and where the amendment was to reprioritise a section of the C1003 road to Invercargill from other to secondary. It was acknowledged at the area committee that there may be financial implications, and that the current Sutherland Roads budget doesn't accommodate, scope for increasing costs as it sits. But nonetheless, we did a review of the routes served by the Lochimber depot. Now, it's contained to Lochimber because that's the area that serves the Invercargill rural. To expand it further, logistically, it didn't make sense. So we contained it to the depot that serves the area in question. And we looked at the criteria for secondary routes. We looked at the available operational hours we have for the staff in there, the route timings, the route risk assessments, and the fleet that we have based up there, and the suitability of the fleet. The results are in the report. I won't go into the detail because I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions about them. The other thing before we go into questions is that the current Highland Council winter maintenance policy, it doesn't prioritise schools or school routes. The primary and secondary routes make reference to service bus routes and not school routes. So when we're preparing our winter maintenance plan area, that's what we look at, and that's how we take consideration of it. And it's maybe why we are partly here today, but
I'm sure you've all read the report. I won't go into too much detail, but I will leave it at that and open up for questions.
Thanks, Judy. Members, I'll go toward one of the first of all.
I'm in the heart. Okay, thank you. Well, thank you very much for the report and the time you spent on it. I think the first thing we would probably take from it is that Assynt has always been a difficult area to do gritting on, pre-gritting and gritting routes. And I mean, we can go back a wee bit here where we had 4 gritters at one point and plenty of men, and we're down to 2 gritters and 3 men now. I don't know how many drivers is out of that, 2 anyway, I'm sure. But
we're working, I mean, the establishment is 4, which we would dearly love to have.
Yeah, so I think we recognise if, as members that we don't have the resources that we should have probably in Assynt. And I mean, I'm going back to when we had heaps of gritters to do all the side roads, and everybody knows the geography of the side roads and how many there are and how many gradients are in it and that. And it is a difficult place to serve. So I think we recognise the fact that we don't have the proper or enough equipment, maybe is what I'm trying to say, to do what we would like to get done. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I think when this was first talked about, we didn't actually expect it to be a cost to the council, because I think it probably got broken down a wee bit, but I think we were looking at getting this done, the route up to Inverkirk in the morning rather than as another later on in the day, which means that if it would still just be getting done at one point in the day, but before the school bus left at 8 o'clock rather than after. So I think that we were of the opinion that if it went out at 6 or whatever time it was, up to Inverkirk and back, you wouldn't have to put that vehicle up then at 11, 12, 1, whenever it was going to come back to do the other work. So I think there was a wee bit of, you know, when we first raised this, there wasn't going to be a cost implication. But, I mean, we understand how it works as well. And, I mean, especially, I think Marianne's understanding more as she goes along how it works or doesn't work. So, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to get the kids to school in a safe environment. And there is, I think, about 12, 14 members of pupils on that road up there. And as you said at the start, it's maybe not a service route, but it is a school route. And I think the way we look at it is that kids to school are a vital service for us, because, you know, we can revert back to what you say yourself about getting people to come into work in the Assynt. They're not going to come to work in Assynt if they know they can't get their kids to school. So it's a big, you know, it is a very difficult one to sort of come to head and say we need this or we need that done, because we have to work together. But families are not going to come and live in Inverkirk or wherever, Stratham, if they know they can't get their kids to the school bus in Lochinver to get to Alipool at, you know, 8 o'clock in the morning. So there is lots of things that revolve around it as well. So I see, I mean, we have a discussion here just now as to what we think is right or wrong. I'm not saying it's a right or a wrong, but, you know, we have to be looking after our constituents as well. So I think that's where we are from my point of view, and I'll maybe hand over. I'm sure everybody will want to have a wee say as well. So, but
okay.
Are you quite clear of where I've sort of come from? I'm not, you know, I'm not blaming anybody, but it's just where we are.
I don't disagree with anything you said there. I would say I'm bound by the Highland Council policy, which has stood since 2018, and the criteria they've got in there. It may be worth looking back at old policies to see what changed and what brought about that policy change and the consideration there. I don't disagree. I mean, when I was doing the assessment, I looked at our council, I consulted our council mapping, and they list residential properties on there. And it's, you know, Inverkirk has about 70 residential properties, and Achmelvik is about 20. So when you look at it in that context, the argument for increasing the priority in Invercargill stands, but then conversely, when you look at the criteria, it is Achmelvich, you know, does it meet the criteria with that level? And that's where that came about, by looking at it and looking at it in context and looking at the timing. So, as I say, as you know, I've not been in the post that long, and I wasn't there when the cuts were made and what led to the decisions that were made. But I do acknowledge that Assynt and the whole community of Assynt, it is challenging. It's been challenging to recruit to. It's a challenging area. The whole of Sutherland, the rural areas, are challenging for our guys, and that's probably why we've got the number of depots spread out where they are, because of timings. And the timing is what is critical in this one in some respect. I mean, the increase, you know, salt isn't an increase. The only difference is it's a public holiday, so secondaries are treated, so it's minor, it's negligent in that respect. It is just the impact on, as I said in the report, reaching the end of all the secondaries and the knock-on for drivers' hours, rest period, that kind of thing. But I'll stop there.
Can I ask a question on the policy then? Is that something that we as members maybe should be asking for a trial policy in Sutherland, that we do bus routes rather than service routes?
Well, that's within your gift. It's not for me to change.
No, but I'm saying, would that help you, or?
It would help. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it would help. It would allow us to look at the routes maybe
a bit more flexible.
Yeah, I think historically each year we had to consult with the school bus service to find out what had changed. You know, because as children grow up and they move away, they're no longer a requirement. So I believe that was how it used to happen each year. Our view was, where did the school's bus service run, and where did that impact on our service? And quite often we reviewed timing, so we were there by the bus. It didn't necessarily change the priority of a route.
No.
But yes, that is something within your...
Right, thank you. I'll pass on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, it was brought to me originally by the Assynt Community Council, concern from the community, and that's what I'm here to do, is represent them. But I kind of think, especially from what you first said, is that to me it's a flawed system from the beginning, because if it is based on service bus transport, it's a double whammy, because you've got fragile communities that don't have a public bus service. And therefore, the next impact coming from that is they're not prioritised in terms of road maintenance. So I should have said thank you for the report before I started. But I can't pretend it's not disappointing. I just think there doesn't seem to be any equity in the provision and in the for the maintenance of the roads. It seems to be a bit of a postcode lottery in our area, which it often is. But the direct impact of it is obvious enough in terms of, I don't think it is just to do with children getting to school, but that was the priority certainly when I brought it up at first. But it's children getting to school. You've also got a number of teachers trying to get to work, and all sorts of other people trying to get to work, people trying to access services, people trying to have social opportunities. It's not just one thing. And these impacts are obvious, but the wider impact, as Hugh said, is that these are communities that we're trying to build up. We're trying to make them more resilient. We're trying to make them communities that families want to come and live in and be happy there and be able to do all the things that other people are able to do. So when you're a family and you're thinking, where do I want to live? Do you want to live in a place that has a fair chance to access these things? Or do you want to live somewhere where you don't have a fair chance? And to me, I do accept that there's limitations in resources and all sorts, but I can't say I'm not disappointed.
Maybe clarify the road maintenance hierarchy is one thing for road maintenance, and the hierarchy of the road network. There's more criteria in it. and there is a separate criteria for the winter maintenance. There's a different hierarchy. We have primary, secondaries and others on in winter, but for road maintenance it's different. There's strategic and local link and access roads. There's slightly different priorities for winter maintenance and road maintenance in that respect. It was just to clarify that.
Sorry, I was meaning winter.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, just a comment. It just seems to me from what's been said that the present policy is an urban policy and takes no account of rurality and depopulation. And perhaps we should take an action to look at lobbying the relevant strategic committee to have a review of such policies, if that would help Josie at all, and to see what we can actually do rather than just accept things meekly.
Yeah, well, just really what Hugh brought up at the last meeting when we met about this subject, and that was the area being a secondary road for gritting. Why not just reverse that and put that in as the morning one, forget the afternoon? But
if you change the priority from an other to a secondary, there's time restrictions, so by making it a secondary, it has to be gritted by 9 in the morning, whereas the others we have all the rest of the day to do. So if we change it to a secondary route, as it states in the report, there is the knock-on and complete in the other secondary. So it's tight, as it's commented on, and that's the difficulty where we are with what the policy states, and that there's no flexibility, you know, at the moment, because the budgets are where they are. Anything that is additional, and even, you know, we're still treating it, so the salt isn't an issue. It's the operational hours we have for the men, their rest time. You start eating into when they have to have mandatory stop and take a break, or else we have, you know, the traffic commissioner on our, you know, it's all that operational stuff becomes the knock-on effect in that respect. It's just unfortunate, and as I say, the one lorry would just then be working non-stop, and we wouldn't have any downtime for it, and it couldn't keep doing other routes and do the pre-grit that we do, albeit in the afternoon, around the Drumbeg loop.
Does that come back to my first remark about maybe we don't have the resources we should have? I mean, and that's not sitting on your desk. I mean, that's nice, if you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, it's a very minimum. I highlighted in the report what the additional resource would be to accommodate that difference, and I think that that tells a story in itself on where we are. It's just unfortunate that the roads budget is sitting where it is.
Can I just say that anything I've said is no reflection on the efforts going into the winter road maintenance in Assynt, because the team, and especially, it's slightly better this year in that the recruitment's been successful, which has been good. So we've got, but so that's going to make a difference, and they do make every effort to do the road before the times that are, you know, the outside limit. So it's no reflection on that, the effort that is going in there at all. And also from the Community Council, the idea of the Achmelvich Road being downgraded was completely unacceptable to them.
Thank you, members. I'm assuming nobody else has got any other comments in the moment. Well, what I would like to say first of all is that Josie and her team are working within the restraints that they have policy-wise and resource-wise, so there's a huge issue in that respect, and we need to take that into consideration. What I do is propose an amendment to the recommendations, and that amendment would be to remove item 4, which says that we the reprioritization of the U1053 Achmelvich Road from secondary to other in order to comply with the winter service policy, and then also to maintain the status quo as it is at the moment, as was the recommendations previously before we took this forward. But on top of that, I'd also like to propose that we have a start item and go to council to review the Highland Council policy on winter maintenance to be sure to prioritise school routes as a matter of priority. So that's my proposal, the amendment and the start item. Do you have a seconder for that? Thank you, members. So we have been asked to note the impact of increasing secondary route priorities for the delivery of the winter service to other routes. Note the additional plant and labour resource required to deliver the increase. Note that following an extensive review of winter maintenance operations, it is not possible to reprioritise the classification of a section of the C111003. And then, as I say, the removal of proposing the removal of item 4. So if we are all in agreement with the amendment and the start item, we can just approve it otherwise. Okay with that? Yeah. Josie, thank you very much for your time, and thanks for compiling the report. Greatly appreciated. And yeah, we'll take forward from that. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Josie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josie. Okay, members, moving on to item 6, yes, on the agenda. This is the Old Caithness Road, Helmsdale one-way traffic regulation order. And I think with Lisa McKellick to talk us through this report. Lisa, over to you.
Morning, members. Can you hear me all okay?
Yes, fine, thanks.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Excellent, excellent. You'll see from the report that's that you've all got there that we as a local authority have been asked by Transport Scotland to bring forward a one-way traffic regulation order on the Old Caithness Road in Helmsdale. We have got 2 outstanding objections to this road traffic regulation order. You see the recommendation at number 2. You have got the background in section 4 there. The reason for the promotion of this one-way order is to address long-standing safety concerns with regard to the school crossing patroller location on the A9, and clearly the A9 is a trunk road, and as such any promotion of a safety scheme on that road is delivered by the Trunk Road Authority. The issues with regard to the school crossing patrol site are detailed in 4.1 there. There's concerns over the visibility, speed of traffic and the width of pavement for the pupils and pedestrians in general to cross at that location. I think you'll see in 5.3 the recommended visibilities at 30 mile an hour are spelled out for you there, and I think it's very clear that the minimum recommendations are not being met at the moment, and the safety scheme being promoted as per the drawing in Appendix 3 realises unrestricted visibility for pedestrians that are crossing at this location. I think you will see, I think that takes me on to number 7, I think, the next bit, which 7.2 details a summary of the objections that the local authority have received towards the promotion of this one-way order. And the officer's responses are in 7.3 there. But you'll see in Appendix 2, you have got absolutely everything in terms of written correspondence that the local authority has received. Having read through it, I think the only last thing I want to say is that the Road Safety Improvement Scheme obviously sees the widening of pavements on Old Caithness Road, which is why the one-way order is required on this road, because there would simply not be the carriageway width for two-way vehicle flow. And that's why obviously we were approached by Transport Scotland to promote this one-way order. So I'm happy, I think that takes you through the report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Lisa. That's good. And thank you very much for the report. I know myself that this is something that the Helmsdale Community Council and a number of other folk have been promoting for quite some time. I personally have been involved with it for the last 2.5 years, so I know the work that's gone into this, and we actually have a resolution now which will certainly go a long way to help keeping the kids safe as across the road there. We have a number of recommendations, but before we go through that, I'll throw it open to the floor for any questions.
Can I pick up there, Chair?
Certainly.
I've already circulated some thoughts to members last night. And what prompted my thoughts was a kind of article in the President General, just to give context, which pointed out that in this current year there has been a rise in insolvencies of 46% in hospitality businesses, because hospitality is suffering from cost of living crisis, power rise and so on. So anything we can do to maintain our tourist economy is very important. So I'm asking members just to think that we accept the positive impact that the Highland, the Helmsdale Hostel has on the local tourist economy, and I hope people can agree that is a specific niche market, a very important market, because these people come, stay and use local hospitality outlets, much perhaps more than motorhomes and camper vans do. And we're looking for a compromise here, because I simply can't argue against the roads officers on the expertise that they bring, the professional expertise they bring to this assessment. But I think that there's an opportunity to have on-site parking for the hostel on a very extensive area to the west of the premises. And I think there should be kind of a very reasonable access, a permissible access onto Old Caithness Road. And then I'm looking for some way in which we can actually support the business and not make this an entirely negative effect on the operation. The business owners know their own business best, and they reckon that there will be a negative effect, and I'd hope to ameliorate that if at all possible. Now, my part 3 was very vague, because I don't think we have much power over officers in respect of what we have a planning decision. But anything that we can do to actually assist the ongoing commercial viability of the Helmsdale Hostel and still allow this, I think, unavoidable road transport situation to proceed would be what I'd be very much looking for.
Thank you, Chair. Lisa, any comments to make on what Councillor McGilvray said?
Yeah, sure. I think, I'm hearing myself now echoing back. We obviously are the transport is a Transport Scotland scheme, but we've had discussions with them and they're happy to provide signage highlighting that the hostel is there and highlighting to visitors, users of the hostel, that it's actually there, and sort of signage route through Helmsdale itself. So I think that'll help actually. The conspicuity terms of the hostel would be better improved by that signage. We obviously are not impacting car parking in any way, but because the road is going to one way, it allows some width in the road. So I think you're all likely aware that there's sort of zigzag lines in terms of parking restrictions there currently. It will free up space on the road because there'll only be one direction of traffic going. So we would be happy to look as part of the scheme at providing lined bays in terms of parking for use by the hostel as part of it.
Okay.
Just how soon can this demarcation?
Hang on a second. We're saving up for another microphone, honestly.
How soon can we expect such a demarcation to take place? Because if we could get this in place for the coming season, soon to be demarcated, it goes some way towards assisting the situation and perhaps allow the business owners an opportunity to proceed with planning consent for on-site parking. So I'm anticipating that there'll be suitably demarcating parking bays, and I'm just asking when what kind of timescale are we talking about?
So I can't comment on on-site parking, but the parking we are talking about is marked bays on Old Caithness Road, just to be very, very clear about that. So to allow that to go ahead, that would be delivered at the same time as the improvement scheme on the A9. So it would all be done as part of the same works, and therefore those works will be able to proceed if the one-way order is deliverable. If the one-way order does not get through, then the works will not be able to proceed.
Thank
That
you,
makes
Lisa.
sense.
Any other comments, Jim?
Just a summary, we're talking in conclusion about signage and demarcated parking bays.
Well, the signage was part of it anyway. So
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yes.
and to allow time to planning consent for offsite, on-site parking.
Yeah, I'm happy to make comment on that.
Perhaps as much as we expect.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, Lisa, one question I have with regards to lined bays or marked bays, in terms of visibility for crossing when the kid's going to cross the Old Caithness Road, would these lined bays have to be set back quite a distance, towards the going down the road towards the village, rather as opposed to being right up at the hostel entrance?
So I think we would clearly have to do your measurements on site, but clearly you're widening the footpath on Old Caithness Road, so we would envisage that they would replace the zigzag markings that are on Old Caithness Road and run, on the hostel side of that road. But we would need to do our measurements to see what would fit in, and obviously they would be required to impact the safety of the people crossing on the widened footpaths at that section. But I think the fact that you've got a 2-lane road going down to a 1-lane road allows you room to use that space that previously had to have the parking restrictions in place to allow the 2-way traffic flow. So actually we're making it safer for pedestrians, school children, and it frees up space to mark some parking bays, for the businesses on the road.
So that would allow for people who are staying at the hostel to offload their cases, etc., like that, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, members. With regards to Councillor McGilvery's suggestions here, the planning process is a set policy, and we can't circumvent that. We have to allow the process to go through and follow its natural course. And certainly the owner of the hostel is perfectly at liberty to submit an application for parking at the rear of the hostel, which would go through the normal planning process. And if that's the direction we want to go in, that's all good and well. I think what's been proposed here by Lisa certainly alleviates some of the concerns, and we know that the signage that Transport Scotland are prepared to put in place will make sure that directions to the hostel are very clear. And as I say, at the end of the day, what we're looking at here is the safety of kids crossing the road, and it's a process we can go through for a number of years, and to my mind it really does exactly that. It certainly improves access, and we can see from the report that the visibility display is so much improved. It's totally unrestricted, and it ticks all the boxes in terms of keeping our kids safe. So if we can make that, as part of the conditions of what we report here, I don't think we need to make an amendment to the recommendations, but if we have a commitment from Lisa to include that as part of the conditions going forward, then I'm happy to move the recommendations as they stand, which I'll read out. Before I do that, I was just going to say I keep forgetting about Leslie Ann online. So Leslie Ann, do you have comments to make?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, excuse me, the parking light that Lisa's suggesting will actually improve things, but my understanding is that the original planning application for the parking was knocked back because they would be coming out the side of the hostel onto Old Caithness Road whilst traffic was going in both directions, and that made it a safety issue. But if it is going in the one direction, then I think that probably the parking, the car park within the hostel grounds would be more likely to get approval. So it does improve everything for everybody really, except obviously the business owners worried about people finding the place. But that's all I had to say.
That's fine, Leslie Ann, thanks for that. You made a good point. But the planning process would just follow. There would be consultations with the transport planning people as well. So they'd be looking at visibility displays coming out of the proposed parking area. So all that would be taken into consideration. And certainly the reduction of traffic because it's one way would certainly, I would imagine, be something that would be a positive. But obviously, we need the traffic planners to give an assessment on that. But certainly the signage will make sure that the hostel is well signposted, and that their customers will be able to find them okay. Okay, any other comments, members? Okay, well, on the assumption that the recommendations that or the suggestions that Councillor McGill has put forward for regards to the parking bays or leases put forward, and if we can agree with that, then we're asked to note the background to the proposed one-way system traffic regulation order, consider the objections made to the Highland Council Old Caithness Helmsdale Traffic Regulation Order 2022, subject to 1 and 2 above, approve the making of the one-way system traffic regulation order, and note the intention to monitor the area after the introduction of the one-way system, including commissioning a traffic survey to determine effectiveness of the new road layout. Are we happy we've done that, members? Yeah. Are we content with that?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, members, thank you. Moving on to item 7. Thank you all. Lisa, thank you very much for your time today and for the report. Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Members, moving on to item 7. This is the Sutherland HRA Capital Programme Update 23-27. I think we've got Jonathan Henson with us to present this report. Jonathan, welcome. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. I'll just give a brief summary, if that's okay, and then pick up any questions there may be. So Section 5 really just gives a summary update on the overall HRA Capital Programme. Section 6 outlines the development of the programme, along with 6.6, which details the resources identified for the Sutherland area across the 4-year period. Members will note that within that section we identify a recommended priority around energy efficiency works within our stock, and then you'll see that outlined again in Appendix 1, where you'll see that the resources have been identified for works with regard to energy efficiency works on our stock. Just to update members, we've got a slot coming up in due course, I think in December, a Word Business meeting where we can maybe get into some of the more specifics around the programme, some of the detail, but really just to highlight is the recommendation around prioritising energy efficiency works within the stock. Thank you, Chair, and happy to take any questions. Okay, members, thank you for that, Jonathan. Thanks for the report. Members, do any questions for Jonathan? Councillor McGilvray.
Thanks, Jonathan. Just looking for any feedback on installation and performance of air source systems, please. Any kind of a reaction from yourself as to how successful these are for the benefit of our tenants? Thank you, Councillor McGilvray. Yeah, I've actually been in. Sorry, I'm getting a bit of feedback there. What I'd be quite keen to do is to come, as I say, toward business with some specific examples of recent air source installations that we've carried out, and what we can see is the direction of travel in relation to the EPC scores of properties. We've seen some recent examples, particularly in Bonar Bridge, some fairly significant uplifts around the energy efficiency of the stock, evidenced in the new EPC that we've had done. So I think with regard to air source, it's certainly technology that's developed over time, and we're seeing it used in more applications now than perhaps we previously had, and tenants certainly are getting the benefit, and as I say, we can see that through the EPC scores that we're receiving. What I would say as well, though, is that it's critical that tenants are familiar with new systems, and what we're doing is we are referring tenants for third-party advice, third-party energy efficiency advice, to an organisation who can help to make sure that tenants are on the right tariffs, address any issues with meters and stuff like that as well, so that we're confident that tenants are absolutely getting the best out of systems. But so I will provide a summary at the next Word Business in December. But in the meantime, Councillor McGilvray, I'm happy to forward on some examples of EPCs, just so you can see for yourself just exactly the improvement that we're making.
Yeah, that's great, Jonathan. Thanks for that. I know. I mean, you and I have had a discussion about how it works in older houses, and I think it all comes down to the insulation levels and how effective they are. And so it's one must follow the other insulation, and then the use of the air source. So I think that's really important. I think because the newer houses are working well because the insulation levels are so much better. But it is possible to insulate old houses too to make them efficient. Other issues I have is how much of an uptake? I mean, are you getting any resistance from tenants who are being asked to take air source heating or have an upgrade to heating, and what issues are they coming with if they do have that concern?
It's an interesting question, Councillor Gale, and we try to provide as much information as we can to tenants in advance of the installation, particularly if they're not familiar with the type of heating that we might be looking to put in. We make sure that, as I say, following on from the installation, tenants are sort of fundamentally aware of how it works, how to get the best out of the system. And what we're also doing, and I've actually been discussing it this week with colleagues within our tenant participation team, is gathering together feedback from tenants who have received an air source installation, who may have been a bit sceptical about it to start with, and really using that feedback to help explain the benefits of the new type of system to tenants. I was out myself at a property last week, and the account from the tenant about the impact that new heating system has made was quite phenomenal, and I think that's really valuable in terms of helping tenants who, as I say, might be sceptical about the new heating systems to really show what it can do. And it goes back to what I was saying to Councillor McGilvery there around just providing that evidence and providing that assurance that the sorts of improvements that we anticipate are delivered. It's not we don't tend to get many people opting out. When specifically when air source is being considered, and I'd like to think that that's in part down to just the advice and the information that we provide at the beginning, so that tenants are comfortable.
That's great, Jonathan. Thanks for that. And I think it's really important what you're saying about making sure that the tenants get the correct instruction on how to use these systems, because we have had issues in the past that you and I personally have been involved in, where there's a great deal of mystery about how to operate certain systems. So that's all we're encouraging. Members, do you have any other questions for Jonathan? No? Leslie Ann?
No, that's great. Thanks for your report, Jonathan.
Thank you, members. Okay, we are asked to note the summary update on the HRA capital programme at section 5. Note the HRA capital resources identified for Sutherland, agree the proposed investment priorities in the HRA capital programme, and note that updates on the housing revenue account capital programme will continue to be provided through the ward briefings. We haven't done that? Okay, thank you very much for that.
Yes, Chair.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Appreciate it. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye now. Okay, members, going on to item 8. This is Donna Coming-Good, Q2 monitoring report, and I'm sure Phil will give us a good update on that.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So the report details the position of Donna Coming-Good Fund at the end of Q2. The budget has been amended in line with previous decisions made at County Committee, including 50,000 for the Donna Heritage Skio and 13,163 for repairs to Donna Beach car parks. Otherwise, the report is fairly standard. Income is expected to be on target for the year. Section 4.3 updates members on expenditure to date, and the report just highlights a couple of common good issues: rent reviews, the work on Dornoch Burn, and the recent agreement for Dornoch Golf Club to build a new clubhouse, the membership agreement, and that will trigger increased rent, but there is no indication of start date yet. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Phil. Councillor McGilvery.
Yeah. Thank you. Just to thank Phil for his report, just a few things that bring members up to date. With the change of Community Council, the element of community projects may actually just go into abeyance for a wee while until the new group actually get into into gear and actually see what they actually wish to do from their point of view. And I think the major outlays in recent years, the History Links Museum and the multi-use games area, these have been taken care of. So I think these are the kind of main major outlays which are now in progress, and there may actually be a small lull, if nothing else, in terms of major demands on the fund. And in terms of input income, the Royal Dora Golf Club should be cutting the turf, I think, in November for the new clubhouse, and we can expect then another 25,000 top up coming in, subject to a sliding scale as regards number of rounds that they can actually put out. But it'll be very valuable income coming in, perhaps amounting to some 90,000 every year. So that's I think we're in a fairly healthy position, and I think we'll just see how things work out. But the major risk, of course, as Phil has said, is the Dornoch burn, and we'll just have to wait and see how that impacts the need for funding from the common good to sustain it. Since the burn is a common good, not so much a common good asset, as more a common good burden, and has to be maintained. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, for that. That's a summary of what's happening here. From my perspective, I think that the Dornoch Common Good Fund has delivered a lot towards the town and the surrounding area, and really to the benefit of Dornoch as a whole. So I think it's been really good, and it's been well managed. And I'd like to thank Phil for the work he does for it, and any other officers that are involved with pulling this together and making sure that we get the best value for money. So thank you for that, Phil. Members, we have been asked to note the position of Dornoch Common Good Fund at the end of quarter 2024, and note the update on current Dornoch Common Good Fund issues. Are we happy we've done that? Okay, thank you, members. That's great. Okay, moving on, and on item 9, I think. Yeah, award discretionary awards. There's no report for this, I don't think, is there, Phil? That's just a case of...
It's just an agenda, no?
Yeah, just yeah. So we can see that the Common Good Funds award discretionary awards that we've made since 2023. Do you want to say anything about that, Phil, or that was just noted? Okay, members, you have a copy of the Common Good. I'm still on the Common Good here. The award discretionary awards. Are you happy that we've noted that? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Moving on then. Item 10, which is the last item on the agenda, is the minutes from the last meeting. Any matters arising or issues concerned with that? Happy to accept them? Yeah. Okay. Right, thank you, members. That brings us to the end of our report. Thank you for our meeting. Thank you very much for attendance.